Okay, everyone, welcome back to the channel. Here, Mac with Greenbar Trading. Just a quick market recap. A couple of things going on here. We're seeing AMD just absolutely killing it today. AMD, so strong. Looking at the 180-day, this is something we were looking at in our Discord in the pre-market session. Just going to clean this up here for you guys. But you can see here, AMD has held this trend line. And as we were opening up around that trend line today, I was saying if we break this and then break 116, there's a big gap to fill here. That did not happen. The strength is continuing. This is a really, really big, solid move on solid volume. What we saw was a bunch of upgrading to price targets of 150. Talking about how AMD is seen as primed for a strong second half. So we'll have to just, see what happens with that, but super strong. Look at that continued move on AMD. Pretty impressive stuff. So AMD's up over 5% on the day. And that gap that I was talking about right here that we were looking at, that's seen on the daily chart, right? So if we add the volume to the daily chart, which I always like to do to see where that support and resistance can be, you could see for the past year of trading, you have this big gap. A lot of times charts like to backfill those gaps. So that's what we were looking at, discussing this in the pre-market. But the key is what we always do is we wait. We wait for confirmation. We don't jump into things too fast. So what we were looking at was let's wait and see. And if we do break down and test that 116, that was going to be the place to get short. Luckily, this was all talked about ahead of time and nobody got into that trade. Nobody tried to jump the gun right off the open to try to get a better, price. We waited, very patient, and then we moved on to other things. So this is continuing that uptrend that we're seeing. The RSI is still incredibly overbought. This is nothing new. This has been on most of these stocks, very overbought. And if we take a look at the QQQ, this has been holding up incredibly well. So you can see when the RSI started to get overbought back here in May, so about 3 weeks ago, just about, it just has continued up. Now we're coming into that area here that I had shown on the weekly watch list that has a lot of volume for the past 3 years. So if we take a look at that and look at the 3 years, put that volume back in, you can see that this is about to run up into a huge volume ledge, okay? So that can act as resistance. There's possible resistance here on the QQQ, just be aware. But like we're seeing, a lot of these stocks are doing really, really well. And that's the bell right there. So something that I traded today, and I'm currently it's a very small position, was Academy Sports, ASO. This one had earnings, and I'll just show you guys here. This was selling off coming into earnings, which I really like that play. When something's selling off, coming into, all of this volume here, a nice support area. Also looking at this on the daily chart, you can see this 4750 has been really nice support here. So 4750, looking back on 3 years, going back to the daily chart, it was resistance, 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 and then it was support. Came back down and then acted as support again a couple of days ago. And then with earnings, really opened up low, but right there at that 4750. So I'm looking for this to find its legs and start that uptrend again. This stock has done this in the past. It's a very good stock, very good price to earnings. It's more of a value stock, and they're going to continue to grow their business. So eventually in the cards, whether it's coming years or whatever it is, this high will definitely be tested at some point. So it is a good long-term play. But what I'm looking for is just a continued move up, maybe to around this area or so where it's been resistance and support and acted a little choppy here. This 58 area, it could get there pretty quick. There was a lot of volume today. And when we do see this in the past, there has been continuation off of earnings. All right. We've seen this happen before. We can take a look at SPY really quickly here. This is also going to, come into a little bit of resistance here as we've seen back here. Okay. And then right above, that's where that volume is, which we had showed over on our weekly watch list video. I'll show you guys really quickly here. This point of control has been nice support. And then you have that volume, right? You have that volume right up here. So looking more at the weekly chart, it's easier to see. You have the gap here, and then you run into this really big volume ledge. So that's around 440. Right now, we're currently sitting at 428. 430 is going to be an issue, 431 area, but it's holding up really, really well. All right, taking a look at the daily chart here at the volume, not a lot of volume today in the market. So there was just not much selling, but it's holding up. So this could be that new area of consolidation forming around the 430s, back down to even the 422s. And that could be what we see unless we start to see that pullback. Every time we've made that new high, we've made a low, a higher low, and now a higher high. Will we make that higher low? All right. So that's what I'm expecting to happen. Who knows when that will happen, but that point of control looks like a nice area there of support. So maybe a pullback to 411, 412, this 50-day moving average, that's always possible. But for right now, the market is strong, maybe consolidates up here. All right, hit the thumbs up for the video. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.